One, Healthy Prepper here. We had a fun-filled day at an advanced pistol shooting class yesterday. It was a great time, and I learned a lot of new techniques. Some I'm sure you're very familiar with, but I'd just like to go over two of them and discuss them because I think they're really handy to learn if you just go to a regular range and you're just shooting down the alley nonstop. Some other things to consider. These two topics are point and shoot from the hip. Point and shoot, as explained by the person who was teaching the class, was basically, normally when you take a pistol class, how to shoot a pistol properly, you can shoot it from the athletic form where your feet are spaced apart about shoulder width, your knees are slightly bent, your arms are extended forward, shoulders and elbows and wrists are locked, and you have your sights lined up, and then you shoot. Well, point and shoot, they said, is basically the way it truly happens in real life, because in the heat of the situation, in the heat of battle, you don't have time to necessarily always get in the perfect stance and get your sights lined up. So you just end up shooting from whatever position you're in, and you may not be lining up your sights. You're just shooting at the target in general. Point and shoot, and just hope you get lucky type thing. Now, they express that it's valuable to train yourself in this technique so that you can improve your marksmanship, your ability to hit the target under these constraints. And, I thought that was really valuable because, in reality, attackers, perpetrators, they do not just set themselves up in the perfect position for you to come along and get yourself ready to shoot. Most times it's going to be by surprise. They're going to be much closer to you than you really want in general. Apparently most attacks occur within 3 feet. So you're not talking a far distance, you're talking a short, close distance to your attacker, and not much time to react. So, the best laid plans of mice and men, as they say, we practice in the perfect stance, but odds are you may never get the opportunity to get in that perfect stance. So just want to get your thoughts and feelings on there about training yourself in point and shoot as opposed to proper stance, whatever stance, that means to you. Many different people have different ways of standing while they shoot. Excuse the dog. I trained in the athletic stance, as I described before. There are people who put one front foot forward, one foot back. Okay, so the next situation was he had us do shoot from the hip, where an attacker may be very close to you and you don't have the time to get your arms fully extended, your sights aligned, and shoot the way you normally would. So this training was designed just to take the gun out of the holster and pivot it forward, bracing your arm against your body for stability and shooting forward. And, he said that that's very much reality-based as well. These folks were from the sheriff's department who were teaching us, and they said in the real heat of battle, that's what happens. And they said it's also very important when you do any type of shooting where your gun may not be fully extended, you be very wary of where your second hand is, because people have been known to shoot their own hands or their own fingers because you're using your hand as a blockade to keep the person away, perhaps, and at the same time, you're shooting from the hip, and you have the potential of shooting yourself that way. So it's very important to keep that second hand close to the body, even if you're still using as a defensive hand that is up, protecting your face or keeping the person away from you. So, and shoot from the hip, at the ranges I've been to, when you shoot down the alley, the table in front of you, the barricade in front of you is relatively high. So shooting from the hip is not really an option at the ranges that I've been to. There may be some out there with lower barricades in front. But if you have an opportunity to go to an outdoor range, that's a great place to learn and practice this technique, shooting from the hip. But you do need to have a very low level table, or whatever's in front of you that might be obstructing you has to be very low. Do not do this in a regular alley where the table's high. It's too dangerous. Then we also went down the training of shooting with just one hand, shooting with your dominant hand, and then shooting with your non-dominant hand. So for me, it was shooting with my dominant hand, my right hand first, which normally I was trained to shoot with the two hands for more stability. It helps me secure the gun better. But it was very interesting to feel what it was like to shoot with one hand. Now, I know a lot of people do shoot one-handed. You always see one-handed shots coming in the movies. You know, it's very common, very popular. And I also think when you're possibly peeking out from behind cover, a one-handed shot might be easier in the thick of the moment. It just may naturally happen that way, where you don't want to expose so much of your body. You may just want to stick the one hand out and shoot with the one hand. And then also shooting with the non-dominant hand has value as well, because you never know. Your dominant hand may become injured. It may become it may be shot. It could become damaged in a scuffle or a fight or a brawl. And all you have is your non-dominant hand. And if you've never shot with your non-dominant hand before, I strongly recommend you give this a try, just to see what it feels like again, and see how you do, get a feel for it. To build the confidence so that you know that you could do it if you needed to. So I certainly know there's a lot of gun experts out there, shooting experts, and I would love to get your thoughts and feelings on this. My husband and I train at our local ranges, and we take classes as often as we can. But you can never get enough training, and I know it's it's a skill that will disappear over time if you don't keep up with it. So we do as much as we can to get it out there. And I'm certainly always glad, after I go, I'm glad I went, because I always pick up a few new tips, and I always get a chance to reinforce some skills that I have maybe not practiced for a while, forgot about. Sometimes we get into that, just going out to the range and shoot, and it becomes, you lose the different little aspects of shooting that are so important in the real life scenarios. For example, no matter what your thoughts and feelings are in the Zimmerman case, that's a classic shoot from the hip scenario that happened. It was a close altercation, and a shot was fired from the hip, basically. It was not a fully extended arm, as far as we know, but from the trajectory and all of that, it looked like it was a shoot from the hip. And that's the way a lot of attacks go down. So it might behoove us to at least train in these different types of things, just so we at least have the experience of utilizing the weapon in those manners, if ever need be. I'm sure there's a million and one other scenarios out there that you can add to this, but it was definitely a good day shooting. I highly recommend, if you have a gun or weapon or pistol of any type, you get out there, get trained on it, take as many classes as you can, learn from the best people that you can, and practice what you learn. Do a lot of dry firing, work on all the different subtleties, because you just want this to be raw, pure muscle memory. You don't even have to think about it if this ever comes to pass that you need to use this skill. So there you go, folks. I would definitely love to hear your thoughts. I always appreciate hearing from you. Take care, everyone. Happy and healthy prepping.